Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. This is the English translation of the Majlis of Hazrat Maulana Qamar Uzzaman Saheb Damat Barakatuhum, which took place on Saturday, the 29th of Safar, 1445, which corresponds with the English date, 16th of September 2023. Hazrat Wala starts off by quoting the ayat of the Quran Majid, Ya ayyatuhan nafsul mutma'inna, irji'i ila rabbiki radiyatan mardiyya, فادخلي في عبادي وادخلي جنتي. Hazrat Wala is saying that the nafs is of three types and three categories. The nafs ammara, the nafs lawama, and the nafs mutma'inna. Now, the Quran speaks about this, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about Ammara, that the one that continuously instructs you and tells you about going about doing that which is wrong and unbecoming. The Lawama also does some type of thing like that, but there is some type of consciousness that it eventually rebukes you and reprimands you. Why did you do this? How could you do this? No, man. Why? No. And then you have the nafs mutma'inna, the contented nafs. What is that contented nafs? Nafs mutma'inna is har cheh az dost mi rasad nekost. Everything, whatever it is that comes from the side of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there is only nur and khair and barakat in it. That's it. There is only good in it. Now, this year is a kitab, what can I say, par excellence. Hazrat Haji Imdadullah says, Ashraf Ali, translate this kitab, it will be of great benefit to the people. Hazrat Tanvi says that I went there to go and learn, but Sheikh ka hukam hua, so then I started translating. We received the Urdu of this year, and then we started making talash and looking for the essence, the original, the Arabic of it. And Alhamdulillah, in Makkah Mukarramah at 2 a.m. in the morning, we found this kitab. I have a great affinity and passion with this particular kitab. In the start, all of this is actually even written. The actual kitab is in Arabic, Ibn Ataullah Iskandari. Bahut umda. And you know, when I started comparing it and I looked at the tarjuma on its own is so amazing that Hazrat Tanvi has carried out. So, a very great adib, one who teaches a language, translation, grammar, this, that, presentation, or oratory, whatever it is. From Darul Uloom Deoband, Sheikh Zulfikar, what did he say? This type of a tarjuma could have only be carried out by someone the like of Ashraf Ali, referring to Hazrat Tanvi. So Allah Ta'ala also created Ammara, Nafs Ammara, and Nafs Lawama, and it is this very same Nafs Ammara which slowly progresses and becomes Lawama. Slowly it even goes even further, and eventually it becomes Mutma'inna. Now, the essence of this whole world is that we are looking for and wishing for, desiring to achieve this great level of the nafs mutma'inna. पूरे कायनात का खुलासा यही है, या अय्यतुहन नफ्सुल मुतमइन्ना. क्या यह कोई मामूली जुमला है? Is this just some ordinary statement? This is a very great ayat of the Quran Majid, where Allah Ta'ala specifically addresses the nafs mutma'inna. You know, sometimes somebody comes and then we speak and we say that who did he call? Or who came? I mean, we're speaking about this here in the royal courts or personalities, etc., etc. So here, this is the same thing, that this nafs eventually reaches such a stage where then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself addresses this nafs, calls it and says to it that, listen, you have lowered yourself as the lowly earth which people trample upon. Actually, the nafs mutmainna is nasheb zameen, a low-lying land. When you have humbled yourself to that extent, then Allah Ta'ala ne aapko fir Arsh Azam par bulaya, called you to the grand throne. And what is the end result and what is the reward of all this here, nafs mutmainna, is when a person reaches maqam riza. He's blessed with nafs mutmainna, and the reward of that is nothing other than Jannah. And the maqam of sakhat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, sakht, of the displeasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is there, and the answer and the compensation of that is that of Jahannam. So if somebody comes along and says, I want to go to Jahannam, that would be utterly foolish on his side. Yes, it is Allah's. Allah created it. But tawazu, inkisari, it's here today. Also, we can achieve it today. And if a person strives for it, Allah Ta'ala will elevate him. Man tawada'a lillah rafa'ahu Allah. The one who humbles himself for Allah, Allah then elevates him. Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Saheb used to say about his student days. I mean, he was young. He used to come from Deoband to Thana Bhawan, just a student. And he would come in and somebody would tell him, what you sitting here for? Move up, shift up, and go here and go there. He says, I used to tolerate that as well. Rather, I came here expressly so that I can get scoldings, shouting, be reprimanded and corrected, reformation, rectification, rehabilitation by my mentor Hazrat Tanvi. But if you people also shout and scold at me also, I will tolerate it. You know, in the Khanka, there is this type of disputes and quarrels also. Bring the food, leave the roti here, do this here, do that there. I know well about this. I stayed in the Khanka myself. And Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Saheb, what was his type of way and mannerism? He would rather call for the roti. When the roti used to come, he used to take it and distribute it to everybody else. Himself, Qanaat Pasand, Khamosh Mizaj. A one who would love, or his second nature was that of satisfaction, always being satisfied with the little that he had, qanaat, and khamosh, chup, bas. In the Majlis of Hazrat Tanvi, Hazrat Tanvi used to have this andaz also. Here we're speaking about the nafs mutmainna. We're speaking about the nafs mutmainna and how Allah Ta'ala addresses this nafs mutmainna. It doesn't address the nafs lawama or the nafs ammara. Similarly, Hazrat Tanvi had this in his majlis and in his spiritual discourses, that he would take a person or two, make them the addressee. I mean, the entire audience was there, but he would look at that person there specifically, which would say, I mean, it could have been, I mean, Hazrat Khaja Saheb, Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Saheb, Hazrat Qari Tayyib Saheb, and not towards everyone. And this in itself was an indication of the capacity and the capability of that person who was the addressee particularly, and not generally like the rest of the people. I mean, you are sitting there, you're listening to Hazrat Waz, but particularly where he was putting his focus on you and looking at you and speaking, showed the capacity and the liyaqat of that person. Here also we understand the liyaqat and the capacity, capability, the level of the nafs mutmainna. That when you made yourself nasheb zameen, then Allah Ta'ala then addresses you and then calls you to Him. You lowered yourself so much that you presented yourself in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala like that low-lying land which is trampled upon. Allah Ta'ala calls you then to His arsh. You know, our Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Saheb was not a person who was so wajih in the sense of in his looks, that would catch your attention. Not to that level. So sometimes it would be, he would be, then he was young, no reach, no beard in his student days, etc. Coming from Deoband to Tana Bhawan, people would shout him, scold at him, reprimand him, and he would tolerate all of that. Afterwards, what happened? From where, when he lowered himself, from where to where he reached, Maulana Abdul Bari Nadwi comes to Fatahpur. And then he says, because where did he come? He came to Shah Wasiullah, his own colleague and companion in the Khanka. And he said, Hazrat, I didn't see you in the Khanka in Tana Bhawan. So, Hazrat then answered to him and said, you didn't see me, but I seen you a lot. I seen you there. And then he would say to us, Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab, Hazrat Wala is saying that मैं तो वहाँ किसी को दिखाने लिए नहीं गया, मैं तो इस्लाह के लिए गया. I didn't go there to show people I'm Wasiullah and I'm here and I'm there. I went there for my own self and for my own sake. I used to do my work. I was involved in the duties that Hazrat Anwi had handed over to me in recording and noting down the malfuzat, etc. In my free time after the Asr Salat, and that I would pack my things and go into the jungles, solitude, alone. मैं तो अपना नाम निशा मिटा बेटा, शोहरा उड़ा दिया मेरा किसने. That I lowered myself, I humbled myself, I erased myself, self-effacement, I hid myself away. I just wonder who took my name and made it so common and spread this fame about me. I just wonder. And Banda इसीलिए आया. The servant actually came for this year. Tariq में है. And this tariq is this year. The tariq, in this path to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it is this year and this year. This is actually what it is. This is this path and this tariq to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That when a person humbles himself, then he would achieve something. Then you will get mansab. Allah Ta'ala uski tawfiq de. Allah inspire us for this. So we're speaking about the qualities and the salient characteristics and features of the nafs mutma'inna. Another one is, one is that Allah Ta'ala specifically addresses the nafs mutma'inna. Another one is that Allah Ta'ala calls it by its kunyat and a pet name. And this kunyat in the lughat of the Arab and amongst the Arabs in itself, the kunyat was something that would speak volumes in the respect and the honor of the intellectuals and great personalities. They would rather call them by their pet names instead of their original name. The third characteristic, if you would like to call it, and feature of the nafs mutma'inna is that Allah Ta'ala describes it with tuma'nina, with that peace. Why? Praising it because of this peace it has achieved due to being obedient to Allah and handing itself over to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Another characteristic then too, which the author then discusses and describes, is that Allah Ta'ala describes this nafs with that of peace and the contented soul because it is huwal munkhafidu min al-ard. It is like that low-lying land. When it broke itself, when it humbled itself, when it lowered itself, tawazu, inkisari, then Allah Ta'ala praised, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then praised it, this particular nafs. By the words of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and that is man tawada'a lillah rafa'ahu Allah, the one who humbles itself for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then Allah ta'ala elevates such a person. The point number 5, where Allah Ta'ala speaks about the nafs mutma'inna, where He says, Irji'i ila rabbiki radiyatan mardiyah. So, Hazrat Wala is saying, and Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab used to say this, the same thing, and repeat it over and over again, ke tariq to wahi rahega. The usul and what you are required to do will remain the same, and you will reach with this very same ingredients and recipe and nothing else from your side. You will have to humble yourself completely. Tawazu. मैं तो नामो निशा मिटा बेटा शोहरा उड़ा दिया मेरा किसने. I humbled myself. I wonder who gave me honor and status. You know, I went now to Deoban, Nanota, and I started speaking of Hazrat Maulana Qasim Sahab, and I quoted that incident of this person who's running from the back and saying, Maulana, Maulana. Eventually he catches up with Hazrat Maulana Qasim Sahab, and he says, Hazrat, but I'm calling you from such a time, Maulana, Maulana. He says, oh, I thought you calling someone else. I don't even understand myself to be a Maulana. So I didn't know that you are actually calling me. Allahu Akbar. So, kibr, pride and arrogance, that was the quality of Fir'aun and Haman. And those who adopt that will be with those and be resurrected with them. In ilm, also, you need to have fanayat. So Allah Ta'ala says here that Irji'i ila rabbiki, return to your Rabb. In it, there is an indication that the nafs ammara and the nafs lawama will not be allowed to return to Allah a return of honor. Rather, this year is reserved only for the nafs mutma'inna, and it is because it had become so contented, so peaceful with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that it will be said to it that irji'i ila rabbiki, return to your Rabb. We have made permissible now for you entry into our presence and admission into our Jannah. And in all of this, فَكَانَ فِي ذَلِكَ تَحْرِيضٌ لِلْعَبْدِ عَلَى مَقَامِ الطُّمَأْنِينَةِ. And in all of this, there's such great type of encouragement and inspiration for the servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to reach the high level of tuma'nina and nafs mutma'inna. وَلَا يَصِلُ إِلَيْهِ أَحَدٍ. And it's not just so easy for anyone to reach there. Yes, of course, you would have to have istislam ilallahi ta'ala. Number 1 is obedience to Allah, and the other one is adamut tadbir ma'ahu. You're not doing your own thing. No. Supurdagi. Obedience to Allah and handing yourself over to Him completely. Not designing and planning and scheming and plotting, I'm going to do this or that or the other. No. Your whole matter rests with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So in ilm also, you need to have this type of humility, fana'iyat, annihilation, self-effacement. I know nothing. Somebody comes to Hazrat Tanvi and then wants to strike up in a relationship with him of that of Islah and to become his student and disciple. He writes the letter in Arabic saying that I want to become your murid, I want to make ruju, turn to you for my spiritual elevation and to strike up my ta'alluq in relationship with you. Due to which Hazrat Tanvi says to him, listen, you are capable of writing and speaking in Arabic, and mufid ko mustafiz se ala hona chahiye. The one who is inspiring, the one who is giving and distributing the pearls of fuyuz and barakat, he has to be higher, a'la, than the one who is receiving it. So go from here, you will not really benefit. Now, he must have found some type of barai. He must have found some type of pride and arrogance in this person here, that he came there and now he's starting to speak to Hazrat Tanvi in a language that he was not speaking, which was not spoken there. You know, people come and they say that, Hazrat, I've come here for 2 months. The time comes, the time goes. And then I'm leaving now, I'm going. Their time had then come to an end. And this is exactly what is the reality of this dunya. A person comes, his time in this dunya expires, and then he has to leave. You have stayed a lot. Now time for you to go. You have got maqbuliyat now. You handed yourself over to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now come back to us. And mashayikh ke paas isiliye jaya jata hai. This is why we go to the mashayikh. That uski sabse bari gharz, the main and greatest objective here that one actually wants to achieve is the removal of ananiyat, of this pride, arrogance, self-conceitedness. To be conceited, I achieved this and I done that and I know this and because of me this and that and the other. Ananiyat, ana. This da'wah e kaziba, da'wah, claims of ilm, claim of this, claim of that. And so long as you have all these types of things in you, that I can do this here and these type of claims, you will reach nothing. In fact, in Gulista, Hazrat Wala is saying, Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahib used to quote abundantly this waqia and this incident. This person came, stayed with the Sheikh for some long period of time and then he's leaving. When he leaves, he says, Hazrat, I'm going now. He says, yeah, go. Just like how you come, you just going in the very same way. You had naz, you had this pride and arrogance, and your focus and on your attention was all about this knowledge, this little knowledge that you had. You thought that you know so much. You had naz on that day. So you did not abandon that. So what could you really achieve here? You achieved nothing. How you came, that's exactly how you are going. So nevertheless, I'm cutting it short here. Uzr hai, I have this excuse and Bimar hi chal raha ho, I'm not well, you people can't see this here. Allah Ta'ala, let this pattern and this silsila and this order that we have, that we come and sit and gather every morning here and we have this little majlis, Allah let it be continuous. For me also it's something great, I would say mere liye amokhta hai. It is like a revision. I have an opportunity to pass over to you the talks which I heard from the Buzurgan-e-Deen. You know, what can I say? No matter how much we speak, in essence and in reality, it is nothing. It is nothing. It's not even the amount of an atom. And that's exactly what had been classically said about the extraordinary and the reformatory tajdidi kam and works of Hazrat Tanvi, that 100 years before that and even 100 years after that, no such a type of great work had actually and will actually be achieved. Allah Ta'ala give us the tawfiq and the hidayat of actually understanding these works and walking this path. Allah give us that tawfiq. Make dua that Allah Ta'ala accepts. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Maulana Mohammad wa ala ali Sayyidina Maulana Muhammadi wa barik wa sallim. Allah Ta'ala keep us firm and steadfast on this path. Allah Ta'ala bless us with qurb and qubul, proximity and acceptance. Allah Ta'ala bless us with the ulum and the knowledge of the Buzurgan-e-Deen and their special focus and their tawajjuh. Allah create within ourselves this thirst, deep, sincere, genuine thirst and enthusiasm, talab. Because Allah Ta'ala will never ever let go to waste the genuine thirst and enthusiasm of the seeker. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم بحرمة سيد النبي الكريم صلى الله عليه وسلم.